Somber, cinematic music with a slow building tempo begins to play softly in the background. The tone is reflective and slightly melancholic. She used to believe that closure was something you received. A neatly wrapped package delivered in the form of an apology. She spent years, maybe a lifetime, waiting for words that never came. She would rehearse conversations in her mind, perfecting her explanations for people who were never truly listening, people who only heard the gaps where they could insert their own narrative. It's an exhausting way to live, trying to justify your own existence to an audience that has already written you out of the script. She stopped. One day, the waiting just stopped. It wasn't a grand, dramatic decision. It was a quiet surrender. The realization that some doors are meant to stay closed and some goodbyes are meant to be silent. The apologies she craved were just echoes in an empty room, and explaining herself had become a performance for no one. Peace, she learned, wasn't found in their understanding, but in her own acceptance. She carried so much more than anyone could see. When people looked at her, they saw a woman, maybe a mother, defined by the roles she played. But inside, she was a library of unspoken stories, a vessel holding a lifetime of lessons learned the hard way. Each disappointment, each betrayal, was a chapter she had dog-eared and memorized. She learned that love could be a battlefield, and that sometimes the person you had to save was yourself. When the inevitable happened, when her world crumbled around her, what tarot readers call the tower moment, she didn't scream, she didn't run. The old her would have frantically tried to piece the rubble back together, desperate to rebuild what was already broken. But this version of her, forged in quiet resilience, simply sat with the destruction. And in the stillness, surrounded by the ashes of a life she thought she wanted, she found a spark. She gathered the debris, not to rebuild the same tower, but to build a fire. A fire to keep her warm, a fire to light her way forward. They whispered that she had changed. She's not the same, they'd say, as if it were an accusation. They saw her boundaries as walls, her silence as anger. They couldn't comprehend that the woman they once knew was a carefully constructed version, designed to be palatable, to be accepted. They didn't see the transformation. They only saw the absence of the person they were comfortable with. But it wasn't a change. It was a remembering. It was an excavation of the soul, digging through layers of expectations and societal conditioning to find the wild, untamed woman who had been buried underneath. The cards told the story, the hermit's solitary journey inward, the devil's confrontation with her own chains, the transformative release of death, and finally, the fiery, sovereign power of the Queen of Wands. She didn't become someone new. She simply shed the skins that were never hers to wear and remembered the power that was hers all along. This is a story for you. For the ones who have been told they are too much or not enough. For the ones who have learned that their silence is not weakness, but a fortress. It's for those who have walked away from tables where respect was no longer being served. Remember this, when people leave your life, it is not always a loss. Sometimes, it's a release. You are not losing them. You are freeing yourself. You are letting go of the weight so that you can finally rise. This is the rebirth of the Empress, finding her throne not in a palace, but within herself. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey today. If this story resonated with you, I'd be so grateful if you'd like this video and subscribe to the channel for more stories of resilience and rebirth. Your support means the world. Until next time, walk in your power.